we have already read it. So I am reading each sentence and then we will see whether it's clear. By the way, what's he talking about? He is talking about the those who are interested only in the using the Vedic mantras for only benefits in the physical world, to get wealth, to get children and all that. They use the, so that is the Brahm, Shabda Brahma. You are limited only to the Shabda. You are only limited to the words of the Gita, okay, and not the real essence of the Gita. That's what he's saying. And it seems like the Gita is criticizing the Vedas, but it is actually not so. It is criticizing those who are using the Vedas only for benefits in the physical world. If you remember Mimamsa, he has spoken about the Uttar Mimamsa and the Purva Mimamsa. Earlier it was being used only for the mantras to get benefits in the physical world. So, is it really, is the Gita criticizing the Vedas? That's what he's going to discuss. So, let us see, however, what all this means. For we may be sure that a synthetic and Catholic system like the Gitas will not treat such important parts of the Aryan culture in a spirit of mere negation and repudiation. The Aryan culture and the important parts is the Vedas. The Vedas are the most important part. It is acknowledged by everybody, although we don't understand and we have lost the real meaning of the Vedas, but it's acknowledged by everybody that the whole entire Indian civilization is based on the Vedas, and all the Upanishads and everything has come from the Vedas. Even all the Upanishads and all the Advaita philosophy is all Vedanta. It is the Vedanta in two ways. First of all, at the end of the arguments and the literature, but also at the end of the Vedic period in time. It means both things, Vedanta. Okay. So, he is saying Gita is certainly not criticizing the Vedas. So what does it mean? So now I go to the next sentence. The Gita has to synthesize the yoga doctrine of liberation of works, that is Karma Yoga, and the Sankhya doctrine of liberation by knowledge, Jnana Yoga. Okay. So it is combining both. It is they seem to be opposites, because the Jnana Yoga says don't waste your time doing works in the physical world. Concentrate and take your consciousness out of the body, mind, life, get the Brahman consciousness and remain there forever. Why do you want to remain in the physical world of suffering and pain and distortion and ignorance and death? So don't do that. But the Karma Yoga is saying no, you can use these instruments in the lower body, mind, life, and all your body and your vital and your mind, use them as instruments and offer all these things, the thoughts in the mind, the emotions in the heart, and the actions in the body, give them to the divine. Don't do it for yourself. So, ultimate result is the same for both, but the methods right in the beginning seem to be opposites. So, the Gita has to synthesize the yoga doctrine of liberation by works, that is Karma Yoga, and the Sankhya doctrine of liberation by knowledge, Jnana Yoga. It has to fuse karma and jnana. It has at the same time to synthesize the Purusha and the Prakriti idea common to Sankhya and Yoga with the Brahmavada of the current Vedanta, in which the Purusha, Deva, Ishvara, Supreme Soul, God, Lord of the Upanishads, all become merged in the one all-swallowing concept of the immutable Brahman. So, this is the all-swallowing concept of the immutable Brahman. Actually, the Brahman has got three levels, so that we will discuss, okay, with this sentence. It has at the same time to synthesize the Purusha and Prakriti. Now, we get a clear idea. I think once we have also had a small discussion on the Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the consciousness at various levels, and Prakriti is the force, the Shakti, which at the lower bottom, at the lowest bottom rather, it seems to be mechanical energy without knowledge and without consciousness. But consciousness is hiding there. In matter also there is consciousness, but hiding. It has to be brought out. In evolution it comes out slowly. And Purusha is pure consciousness, and in the witness It seems that it has no power at all. But there also, power is there hiding behind the knowledge. So they are opposites to each other, Purusha and Prakriti. In Purusha consciousness, knowledge is, force is hiding behind. So it is, Purusha is 99.9% knowledge and consciousness and 0.01% of force. It is there, but it is not being expressed. Whereas in matter, in the Prakriti, is the opposite. The force is most clearly seen, 99.9% if you want, but hiding inside there 0.01% is the consciousness, and they are opposite to each other. They seem to be opposite to each other, but they are always involved with each other. That's what is being said, Purusha and Prakriti. So, but this idea of Purusha and Prakriti is common to Sankhya and Yoga with the Brahmavada of the current Vedanta, which is the in which the Purusha, Deva and Ishvara. There are three levels. Na? So the Purusha is the witness consciousness. Okay. Then Ishvara is the highest level. So there are three levels. There is the Kshara Purusha, your psychic being, which is mutable. That's a number one. Then there is the Akshara Purusha, which is the Nirvana experience and Brahman consciousness. Okay. Or in which the personal aspect of the Purusha comes up. Okay. So first there is the impersonal aspect, then there is the personal aspect, and then there is the third level, which is a combination of both. In the second level, mostly it is the impersonal aspect. But as you keep climbing higher and higher, even in the second level, you start getting glimpses of the Purusha. Purusha is a consciousness, but it is personal level. Okay, it is personal aspects rather. Okay, and finally at the highest level, everything is combined. All are there. It's a complete picture of the divinity. So this is what he's saying. And the Gita has to combine all these. And it has to bring out again from its overshadowing by that concept, but not with any denial of the yoga idea of the Lord or Ishvara. So, in all the three philosophies, there is small differences, but the Gita is combining all of them, depending at which level you are. If you are at the lowest level, our level, the divine in you is hiding. Then you go to the second level, which is the spiritual planes of consciousness. You get the experience of the impersonal divine. And then as you keep climbing, even in the second level, you get the idea of the personal divine, Purusha and Prakriti. Finally, at the highest level, Uttama Purusha, which corresponds to Srimdo's supermind. There, everything is completely harmonized, personal and the impersonal. The divine can appear to you as both. They are not contradictory at all. So this is what the Gita is combining. And it has to bring out again from its overshadowing by that concept, but not with any denial of it. It agrees that all these are right, but at different levels. The yoga idea of the Lord or Ishvara, it has too its own luminous thought to add, the crown of its synthetic system, the doctrine of the Purushottama and of the triple Purusha, for which, though the idea is there, no precise and indisputable authority can be easily found in the Upanishads, and which seems indeed at first sight to be in contradiction with that text of the Shruti, where only two Purushas are recognized. And this needs a little bit of a discussion, and we'll do that. In the Upanishads, the stress, rather, although the Ishvara is mentioned, the Purushottama is mentioned, but not as Purushottama, but as the Ishvara, there is a reference in the Upanishad. It's not that it's not there, but not with the clarity that is there in the Gita. So, in the Upanishads mainly, the Kshara Purusha and the Akshara Purusha are described as two birds. The same bird sitting on the lower branch and the higher branch. The bird sitting on the lower branch is eating the fruits. Okay. In other words, it is experiencing the physical world and having joy, but also sorrow. Okay. It is subject to both. That's our condition. We have pleasure sometimes and we have also unhappiness. Both are there. That's it. Bird sitting on the lower branch. Okay. in ignorance. But there is another bird, the same bird, when it goes up and sits on the higher branch, which is the level 2, the spiritual planes of consciousness, you become absolutely calm and quiet, and it is not eating the fruits of the tree. In other words, it is not experiencing whatever is happening in the body mind life. The body mind life continues with its thoughts, with its emotions, and with its actions. But the soul, the consciousness, is not participating in it. It has separated itself. And it is sitting on the higher branch, absolutely calm, quiet, actionless, immutable. This is the, and in the Gita you have the third. In the Upanishads only the first two. And in the Gita there is a third, very clearly, the Purushottama. Kshara Purusha, yeah, the divine within you, which is developing. It is subject to evolution. Then the second level, the Akshara Purusha. Akshara, no mutability at all, immutable. And that is the second level, that's the Brahmic consciousness, or the Nirvana, if you want to use that also you can say. But it is impersonal. At the third level, which is this Purushottama level, mentioned also in the Upanishad, but not with such clarity. Okay, it is there. You climb to the third level. The personal aspect of the divine, the impersonal aspect of the divine, all the different dualities get perfectly harmonized at the third level, which is the Purushottama. This is the, so that is what the Gita adds its own idea of the Purushottama. The triple Purusha. So, Kshara Purusha, Akshara Purusha, Uttama Purusha in the Gita, for which, though the idea is there, no precise and indisputable authority can be easily found in the Upanishads. It can be found, but it is not clearly enunciated like it is in the Gita, and which seems indeed at first sight to be in contradiction with that text of the Shruti, where only two Purushas are recognized. Okay. That's what Srimi is saying. And the two Shrutis mentioned are the Mundaka Upanishad and the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. The same image appears in both the Upanishads. So, then, moreover, in synthesizing works and knowledge, it has to take account not only of the opposition of Yoga and Sankhya. I remind you, Yoga is Karma Yoga and Sankhya is Jnana Yoga. You are concentrating the mind and rejecting the physical world. And in Karma Yoga, you are not rejecting the physical world, but you are using action in the physical world as sacrifice. But of the opposition of works to knowledge in Vedanta itself. Even in the Vedanta, there is a difference between the karma and jnana, where the connotation of the two words, karma and jnana, and therefore their point of conflict is not quite the same as the point of the Sankhya Yoga opposition. So what is that? In the Vedanta, there are two different things. It is not surprising at all, one may observe in passing, that with the conflict of so many philosophical schools, all founding themselves on the texts of the Vedas and Upanishads, the Gita should describe the understanding as being perplexed and confused. Shruti vipratipanna, that is the word being used. Shruti vipratipanna, confused. Perplexed and confused, led in different directions by the Shruti. What battles are even now delivered by Indian pundits and metaphysicians over the meaning of the ancient texts, and to what different conclusions they lead. Okay? These are the in the earlier days, the arguments used to take place in the courts of kings. Indian civilization, it was the king who knew what his duty was towards the population, and he was also the judge, but he was also the donor for the arts and the knowledge, and he used to invite all musicians and artists, they used to all come to the court, and the king used to support them. That was the system in India. And even the arguments between pundits also used to take place in the courts of in India. So this is what he is saying. Those who are using only the texts and they argue against one another. But the Gita is saying there is no contradiction. They are all truths at different levels. No? So the understanding may well get disgusted and indifferent. Gantasi nirvedam. That's the word being used. Okay. Gantasi, you will go to nirvedam. Disgust, loathing, complete indifference to the world and sense objects, satisfy clinging. This is what happens. Okay. And refuse to hear any more texts, new or old, Shrotavyasya Shrutasya. Whatever you have heard and whatever you are to hear, okay, you become absolutely immune to that. And go into itself to discover the truth in the light of the deeper and inner and direct experience. So the contradictions all in the yoga and the jnana and all the different philosophical schools do works, some say, and others say don't do works. Okay, so this all gets solved in the Gita. That's what he said. Now we can go to the next paragraph, and Srimati is dividing the Gita into three parts. There are 18 chapters and 6 chapters, 6 chapters, 6 chapters. That's how Srimati sees it. Okay, so we can read now in the first 6 chapters of the Gita. So one of you has to read. Now my image also has come. The camera is working. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was a delayed action. Anyway, I'm happy that it has come back. But you can. So who will read?
I'll read.
Okay, Tarika, go ahead. In the first 6 chapters.
In the first 6 chapters, the Gita lays a large foundation for its synthesis of works and knowledge. Its synthesis of Sankhya, Yoga and Vedanta. But first, it finds that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantis. It means the Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies, or at most that, and the ordering of life according to the Grihya Sutras, in which these rites are the most important part, the religious kernel of the life. By works, the Vedantins understood these religious works, the sacrificial system, the yajna, full of a careful order, vidhi, of exact and complicated rites, kriya vishesha bahulam. But in yoga, works had a much wider significance. The Gita insists on this wider significance. In our conception of spiritual activity, all works have to be included, sarva karmani. At the same time, it does not, like Buddhism, reject the idea of the sacrifice. It prefers to uplift and enlarge it. Yes, it says in effect, not only is sacrifice, yajna, the most important part of life, but all life, all works should be regarded as sacrifice, are yajna, though by the ignorant they are performed without the higher knowledge, and by the most ignorant not in the true order, avidhi purvakam. Sacrifice is the very condition of life. With sacrifice as their eternal companion, the Father of creatures created the peoples. But the sacrifices of the Vedavadins are offerings of desire directed towards material rewards, desire eager for the result of works, desire looking to a larger enjoyment in paradise as immortality and highest salvation. This the system of the Gita cannot admit, for that in its very inception starts with the renunciation of desire, with its rejection and destruction as the enemy of the soul. The Gita does not deny the validity even of the Vedic sacrificial works. It admits them. It admits that by these means one may get enjoyment here and paradise beyond. It is I myself, says the divine teacher, who accept these sacrifices and to whom they are offered. I who give these fruits in the form of the gods, since so men since so men choose to approach me. But this is not the true road, nor is the enjoyment of paradise the liberation and fulfillment which man has to seek. It is the ignorant who worship the gods, not knowing whom they are worshipping ignorantly in these divine forms. For they are worshipping, though in ignorance, the one, the Lord, the only Deva, and it is He who accepts their offering. To that Lord must the sacrifice be offered, the true sacrifice of all the lives, energies, and activities, with devotion, without desire, for His sake and for the welfare of the peoples. It is because the Vedavada obscures this truth and with its tangle of ritual ties man down to the action of the three gunas, that it has to be so severely censured and put roughly aside. But its central idea is not destroyed. Transfigured and uplifted, it is turned into a most important part of the true spiritual experience and of the method of liberation.
Yeah. So we'll read what he's saying. Okay. So the Swami is describing the three systems, the Sankhya, the Yoga, and the Vedanta, and seeing the differences and the Gita's synthesizing of all these aspects. In the first 6 chapters, the Gita lays a large foundation for its synthesis of works and knowledge, the synthesis of Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta. And the words are all used in a slightly different sense, so he's bringing out all those things. But first, it finds that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantins, in the Advaita. When you are speaking of karma, they mean only the sacrificial aspects, which has to be done in the right way. Okay, it's uh, the question. It's very interesting question we discuss whether really these yajna that you do, does it really have any effect in the physical world? That's the question also that is being discussed. Okay, so we'll discuss that. It's a very interesting question, and we'll see what Shabda has to say. But first, it finds that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantas. And what is that? It means the Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies. You light a fire and you get all your the paraphernalia and you go on offering ghee and other things, okay, incense, and there are also all sorts of other things, leaves and different types of. In fact, I attended one of these. I think I told you last time. One of these Vedic sacrifices, because someone was opening their house and they had this sacrifice, and priests were brought in, and the priests were going on chanting. It went on for 1.5 hours, and the number of items that they have for putting into the fire is huge. Huh? I'll tell you, 25, 30 items. This grass, that grass, kusha grass, and all sorts of seeds and leaves and whatnot. All sorts of things they have, and they go on throwing into the fire. Now, the question arises whether this is really a useless physical thing only, or does it have an effect? The truth is that if it is done in the right way, certainly it has an effect. I'll tell you why. Because there are mantras for recovering even lost things. I think I told you that once. Okay, there are mantras for everything. There are mantras for, if it is done in the right way, because the spiritual man can grant your wish. Okay, he has the power to do that. Okay. And they are not going through the physical aspect of it, but in their mind they are allowing your thing to happen. But even if you do physically with the right consciousness, the effects are there in the physical world. I'll give you one instance which will convince you. At one time in Pondicherry there was a big drought. Okay, and what she did was, she got our children, they were all red group children. I don't think any of you will remember because it was long ago. Okay, red group children. And the sign of water, there is a sign, particular sign. Okay, I don't know exactly, I don't remember what it was, but she made about 10 children or maybe less. Okay, take the form. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they stood in this sign of the water, and they went on reciting, rain, 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 we want the rain. And then they would move 10 steps and again repeat, rain, 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 we want the rain. So what is this? It's a physical appealing to the rain gods for, but it's physical. And mother was participating in that. So if it is done in the right way, certainly it has an effect. So when you are doing yajna for world peace and all that, it can certainly have an effect. But it should not be only external and your mind is concentrating and going elsewhere. It should not be like that. It should be with full sincerity. Then it certainly has an effect. The recitation of mantras also has to be done in the right way, even with the right pronunciation. There are many texts where they say the mantras have to be pronounced in the right way, because if you don't pronounce in the right way, the sound effect gets distorted. And if the sound effect gets distorted, the power of the mantra is in the sound. So it has to be correctly done. So definitely, yeah.
We can compare it to our computers also, no? If we speak a little differently, the computer doesn't accept.
Right, right.
The sound, exactly, you have to give the same, then only it will accept. Otherwise, it will not accept.
Yes. Right. Okay, so in the Vedanta, when you speak of karma, they mean only the sacrificial rites, okay? Only limited to that. But in the Gita and in Sriramda's concept, karma includes all works, because you can offer everything that you do to the divine. But there in the Vedic sacrificial rites, you are doing only that and concentrating on what you want. But you need not. Now, if I am even cycling and going to knowledge, I can offer that to the divine. I can think of him and say, you can even think that the divine is sitting on your as a pillion rider. Okay, so everything becomes part of the your life, entire life becomes part of the yoga. So that is possible. So the word karma takes on different meanings in the Advaita philosophy, in the Gita, as and in the instead of those yoga, integral yoga. Okay. So this is what he is being saying. So, and he has used the word Grihya Sutras. So Grihya Sutras, rituals and work containing directions for domestic rites and ceremonies. This is what has to be done, because suppose you are opening a house, okay, then there are mantras which is to be recited for that occasion. Then when you are opening a conference, okay, and many people have come for the conference, again you can recite certain which are relevant to that occasion. Things like that. When you are beginning the education of a child or giving his first solid food, all these there are particular mantras which have to be decided. These are the Grihya Sutras. They are the rituals and works containing directions for domestic rites and ceremonies, only physical. But these mantras do exist. So that is what he's saying. Advaita used to think that, so that's why they decry the karmas. But it can be used in another way also. The karma is not only limited to Vedic sacrificial rites, but also all works. That's what's in this article. So I read the text, okay? But first it finds, what is it finds? The Gita, that karma, works, has a particular sense in the language of the Vedantins. It means the Vedic sacrifices and ceremonies, or at most that and the ordering of life according to the Grihya Sutras. So, the Griya, as I told you, Grihya Sutras are, okay, Griha Pravesham if you want to do, there are things, mantras which you recite for that, in which these rites are the most important part, the religious kernel of the life. There you are, the religious kernel. This is superficial, okay. But if it is done in the right way, it can have an effect. Okay. So, the sacrificial system, the yajna. Yeah, tell me.
No, I mean, when you do the yajna and
Yeah.
then you put ghee and sandalwood or leaves, that represents something. No, it is not actually physically what they put, right? I
That's
thought it
exactly
was containing
that's
something.
yeah. You have that's why it has to be concentrated in the inner meaning, and you continue with the outer existence. That's right. Okay, that's correct.
So
That's
if you
exactly what.
don't put the
Then
no,
it has
but if
no
you
effect.
don't put the thing like
Yeah, then it has no effect.
no, but
If you
if we have the concentration, that it doesn't have an effect.
No, it has. If you concentrate correctly on the meaning, okay, and the inner meaning and continue to do the physical works, it has a double effect, certainly. You can have the effect only with concentration also, but when you do it with the physical, then it is integral, na? So it has a power. There's no doubt about it. In fact, Swamdo says when you are when you are doing the devotion to the Lord, there are three aspects. Okay, in the synthesis, he says that, and since you are raising the question, we might as well discuss it. There are three parts when you are worshipping the divine. First of all, there is the inner attitude, which is the most important. Okay, you are not thinking of dinner, and you are not thinking of playing football, and you are not thinking of strategy for your business. You are concentrating on the divine and offering your everything to the divine and asking for help or aspiring or whatever. That's the first thing, the inner attitude. The second is, what is the symbol you are using? It could be a photograph, it could be an idol, it could be in stone, it can be in clay, it can be even in metal, it can be anything. That's the thing. And then the last one is your physical attitude. Doing pranam, lying down, shashtang pranam, or you are using incense and, or arati, the waving of lights also by the priest. These are the outward. So Srindu says the real devotion should really include all the three. Okay. It's very interesting. He says that is the complete. So if you say think in that way, even the sacrifices, the ceremonial rites also, there is a symbol to it. There is a symbol, provided it is done in the right way. So what Pallavi asked is absolutely right. Okay, it has to be done in the right way. It has an effect. And
But
the
Rangata, as we say that the innermost is the most important, we give so much importance to that we stop doing the outward thing. No,
that's right.
today we feel that going to the temple or anything is not that important as we. So we are now going to the other extreme. We don't want to do the physical part of it at all, and we want to do only the inner part.
Quite right. So that is what happens. So that depends on your. Very often the excuse is given. Okay, children are told to go to the samadhi. Okay, then some of them will say, "Arey, what is the use of going to the samadhi? Because I am going and I am thinking of something else. It's only an outward thing. It has no importance. Why not I think of the divine at home?" But this can also be a tamasic attitude, and it can be a laziness. Not is an excuse not to go. So, in the beginning, it depends at which level you are. No? If you are absolutely at a physical level, certainly it will help to go physically and bow down in the samadhi or worship a photograph. Certainly, it has an effect. Though there are many who deny that. No? There are many schools in India who deny that. They are, what is it? Is Arya Samaj, for instance, and the Islam, both of them say it is idiotic and foolish to worship stone idols. But it's not, that's not true at all. Okay? It can, I don't know if you have heard, but they have stopped issuing blessings, messages for our darshans now. You have heard of that? And there's a
Yes.
big controversy about it. But it does have an effect. The physical thing links you to, so those who are outside in Madras, Calcutta, Bombay, when they get these, it makes a link. Mother has spoken about it. So,
Ra-
No,
so
but
Rangata, the best
Rangada,
example is ring, which we are all wearing. Symbol ring.
exactly, exactly. I have the ring on my finger now. See?
yes, Rangada.
And of
No,
course,
but what I meant, Rangada,
Rangada,
yes, yes. Tell me.
Pallavi, you say first, then I'll.
No, no.
okay, no, what I meant was ghee, leaves, it's a symbol of something. Like it has not come down as a distorted image of something which is different.
Yes, that also is true what you're saying. Everything in the physical world is a representation of something at the higher level. Everything. Certainly. There is a link. But if you leave it only to the lower, then it is not that effective. You have to link it to the higher and then indulge in the lower, then it has a full effect. Certainly. These are all very subtle things, but it depends at which level one is operating. Okay, when you are in a spiritual consciousness, you don't need to go through the physical part. But even mother was using physical means. Let me tell you, when she is doing the um, uh, occult work, okay, I'll tell you one instance and then you will see that even the physical has got an effect. Now, someone reported to mother that mother, there is somebody who is bothering me and I think it is black magic. I have been told by some people that he is doing black magic against me and I am constantly falling ill. So, mother said, you give me the photograph of that man whom you suspect. Okay. Then that photograph was given to mother, and this was told to me directly by the person who saw. Okay, he was a very close associate of mine in the working in the press. So he said, mother took that photograph, and first of all, she makes out that yes, it is a real person who is doing this damage. Okay, otherwise, she has to understand that. Naturally, she won't do it for the wrong person. So she took that photograph and with a very serious face, I mean, when mother used to become serious, it would be almost frightening. And she took the pen and put two huge crosses on the photograph and threw it on the ground. Now, she could have done the same thing without the physical act because she has the power, but she did it physically. Okay? So, physical action, you can't dismiss it as being absolutely meaningless. So the idea of in Islam and also in the Arya Samaj is not absolutely right. It is not correct. The physical does represent higher and subtler forces. So you have to give full importance to that. That's the reason why Swami is saying.
That's one question.
Huh? Tell me. Yeah, Pallavi?
One question, she did it physically so that the person who was there could see it and get convinced. If she had done it just with her own power, maybe the person would not have believed or thought or.
That also is possible.
The same thought passed through my mind also, Ranganath. That
yes.
Some people, when they see, then they believe, yeah, something is done, and that is.
But even if they don't believe, okay, but they stop falling ill. No, that also is there. No? So
no, to convince the person.
Yes, it's possible.
Convince the person that it won't be done anymore.
Yes, what you're saying is possible, quite possible. Anyway.
But it is quite possible that we don't know the occult world. We have no idea of the powers of the occult world. So
yes.
maybe something may have to be done physically in the occult world to produce the desired effect.
Yes, yes, that's exactly what we are discussing. But it can be done also without the physical, if you have the power. Okay, certainly. Certainly. It is important. So, this is what exactly being discussed. Okay. So, now.
Archana was saying something. I think she is.
Okay, Archana Di, tell me, have your say. I don't know. Her voice, her audio is muted. So maybe she was not saying anything. Okay, so shall we continue? So this is and also now the next sentence is saying, by works the Vedantin understood these religious works. In the Advaita philosophy, when you say karma, they mean this. Okay, so that's why in the Gita, When you are doing only the karma, okay, then that is what is being criticized. When it is being done in the wrong way, that's what is being criticized. By work,
Rangada,
yeah,
Rangada, sorry.
yes.
I was on the way, that's why I had muted. I've reached. Yeah, I wanted two things I wanted to tell here. I just
Ah,
wanted to what I understood. See, first thing about the sacrifice,
ah,
the physical. I think people are at different levels, sacrifices at different levels. Suppose we
okay,
are only doing the physical aspect of it,
that's
then we'll
right.
get the physical results, physical desires. If we go deeper and do it with our inner concentration, with our inner opening, we'll get the inner aspect of it also. I think that's
Yes,
what is being mentioned here particularly, that in the Vedant, they are talking only of the, that's what here Sri Arvind is telling, that in the Gita, in the Vedant, they are talking only of the physical ceremonies. And in
that's
that, physical desire is fulfilled because at the end of the paragraph, the Gita shlok is given that
yes,
that also comes to me, so I fulfill their desire. That is one
yes,
aspect. And the
yes.
second thing which we were discussing about the occult,
Ah,
incidentally, I was reading Agenda first part this time recently, in which, if you remember, you must be knowing Rangada, that Swami and ex Tantric Swami with whom mother had some connection, and Satprem
yes,
had gone there for. So in that particular, there is a paragraph. I'll give the exact reference with page next time. I'll have to look up, in which mother is saying that the way I work, the thing works, but it takes a longer time. But if you also do the physical aspect of it, then the thing can be done sooner.
that's
That is
right.
why she tells Satdev that you take the initiation and you do what he is telling you to do, and I am
Yes,
doing it at a different level. My time will think. No, these
yes,
two things just came to me, so I thought I'd like to share. I was on my way, so I had muted. Now I
that's
am in
right.
the distance.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's correct because that's why, of course, there are different aspects to that. Okay, and she used to send these people to Rameshwaram, and many used to go. More than
Mhm.
1 dozen. She used to go on saying, but only one person refused not to go. You see, when mother told him, why don't you go to that Rameshwaram? His reply was, Mother, you are enough for me. I don't want to go anywhere.
That's
That,
what she tells. I can still do the work, but it will take time. But in occult, it can be done sooner with the physical aspect. The
yes.
details, exact words, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I'll give the reference to. I'll post it in this so that others can also read if they want.
Archana,
Okay.
that's exactly what I was saying about the synthesis.
Uh-huh.
He says that all the three attitudes have to be there. Okay. The inner attitude, the symbol also, and the outer worship. The waving of lights, the pranam that you do. Okay. You can also give yourself to the divine without raising your hands and joining in a pranam. But you can also shashrang pranam. So all the three are important.
I'm just corroborating to what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not refuting. I'm just corroborating. It just came to my mind. So.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yes. What you're saying is absolutely right. That's exactly what we are discussing. And in fact, let me tell you something very surprising. Okay, but I was surprised when I heard about it. Sriramdo had kept with himself a little earth, okay, a little mud from Dakshineshwar because that was Ramakrishna's place and he had kept in a little bowl. So I never thought that Srimda would do that because he's absolutely in the spiritual world all the time. But he did that because when the police came to arrest him, they found this bowl and they opened and saw a little bit of some substance in it and they said, my God, this must be bomb substance. And Srimda says in the Uttar Pradesh speech that they did not know that this was more powerful than bomb substance. So that's exactly the thing. Physically, subtly, and spiritually. All have to be done. Then that's an integral yoga, in fact. That's exactly it. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. And if you do all the three, certainly there is an effect. There is no doubt about it. Okay. So,
that mud which was there from Dakshineshwara, whatever, had that much power.
yeah, that's exactly what Achandev was saying that when you do physically, you can
Hmm.
have the physical thing also. It expresses, manifests itself physically. And if mother is doing it subtly, it takes time from the subtle world to come down into the physical world. It takes longer. That's what she was saying. That's absolutely right. Okay, we have to stop today. So we'll stop now, but we'll redo this para. We had a lot of discussions, but I hope the discussions have helped. Okay, we must have a clear idea that the physical action should not be denied, nor should it be criticized and think that it is useless. It is not useless. If it is done in the right spirit, it's the most um, effective thing. There is certainly so. Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay, au revoir everybody. Have a nice day. It was a very interesting session today. And we'll meet next Saturday.
Bonjour, Rangata.